you so very much for joining us on this. It's going to be a beautiful day. The weather is clearing up, but it's a beautiful first Friday here in the city of York at our historic Penn Market. And we're happy that you're here. We're getting ready to share some very promising good news about the future of this market as a historic landmark and economic driver in our community. I want to thank, there's a whole lot of people, but all of our elected officials, of course, first, our city council members who are here to my left for being here with us this morning, our Redevelopment Authority Board. I know I saw Commissioner Riley. Okay. There's the county commissioner back there. We appreciate all of you and your support. Most importantly, the vendors and the residents of this area. We sincerely appreciate you being here. Thank you to my Director of Economic and Community Development, Mr. Shabosky Buffalo, and his team, and our Redevelopment Authority Chair, Mr. Mike Black, and again, all the members of that board, and their solicitor that I see here as well. Thank you for your diligence and foresight and vision, because again, in the very near future, we're going to have a great project here. We thank you for that. Not too long ago, we were here alongside Senator Bob Casey, and we promised that we would be back. Well, we are here. As many of us are aware, the historic Penn Market has been an institution of economy, a provider of access to healthy, fresh, and local foods, as well as a stable platform for our local and regional economy, providing your place every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday for community members, merchants, like real farmers that get up at 4:30 in the morning to cross paths, to build relationships, and establish memories for many, many generations in the past and those to come. This is the market I came to love as a child. This was my market, and I just learned from one of our RDA board members, Frank Countess, this was his market as well too, and I know council members, it's actually still Henry Nixon's market, but Judy Ritter Dixon's market. My grandmother and I often frequent this market, again, as many residents and people alike, particularly those in the West End area here of our city. It was that third place, that special gathering place, that place you can get some counter meals over at and speak to everyone, that area in our city that we all came to love. It was that place where you can still get fresh meats and vegetables. So I personally thank the longtime vendors and merchants and farmers for sticking it out and being here with us and being part of this change that we're going to see. So I am delighted to be at the helm of such a vital revitalization project in our city led by the Redevelopment Authority that will benefit our entire community as a whole. The improvements to this facility are much needed, a little overdue, and are very, very welcome so that we can ensure a viable market in our Waco area for several years to come is happening. So thank you all for being here. I will now welcome Shabosky Buffalo to share some of the project's details and give you a little bit more info that I didn't. Shabosky?
Thank you, Mayor. So thank you and good morning for joining us today for today's press announcement. Mayor Bracy, during her 2 terms, has played a pivotal role in the collective efforts calling for the preservation of Penn Market as a community asset. Our staff heard that call and took immediate action, first with a significant investment of Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program dollars and HUD Economic Development Initiative grant funds to make critical repairs to the structure of this market. Many of you have probably heard anecdotally that at once upon a time there were actually 6 layers of roof above our heads. And with those fundings, that initial funding, we were able to go ahead and make that money work for us in a way that hopefully at least kept the building envelope preserved and pure and safe and sustained from the environmental elements. But secondarily, staff became intimately involved with the day-to-day operations through participation in the Friends of Market, who for years served as the advisory board to the shareholders. The express goal of each of these actions was to help revitalize this once thriving third place, as the mayor had referenced, and address the continued looming threats that could negatively affect the future of market itself. So I would like to take a moment to thank the Friends personally, who from over the years that rolled up their sleeves, jumped into the fray, and have gotten all of their hands dirty, committing an incalculable number of man hours volunteering, an untold amount of their own personal funds to help sustain this building, and an untold, as well as lots of sweat and tears along the way to help get us to this point. With your constancy, without your constancy and support, I personally believe that the market would have been lost long ago, and we all know that this gathering place is too important to wither on the proverbial vine. I would also, sorry, ma'am. I would also like to thank the shareholders, specifically those behind us, the Ilias family. None of us can truly know the depths of their commitment to this market. Over the generations, their family has owned and operated their business here, and we want to share our profound appreciation to all of them for their commitment to the market, the customers they have served, and their various contributions to sustain this building over the years. There is not an individual present today that cannot say that the Ilias family is synonymous with Penn Market and has been the spring that has replenished this well for years. I pray that God continues to bless you, John, and your family, and continues to bless you for your good works here in York. So with, not used to the fanfare.
I'm happy.
Good. So we are definitely excited about the Penn Market project. Although it comes with the burden of responsibility and the weight of anticipation, we fully recognize that the clarion call from the community for the city to get involved and play a vital role in the preservation of market is a worthy task. One that we take seriously, and one whereby we intend to honor our role of custodians over the market during our period of involvement. We have witnessed each passing year the tenacity of the market shareholders and the individual vendors as they continue to weather the challenges of running their business in a facility that has become woefully outdated, and for its use during a time when more and more Americans either dine out, eat more processed food, and continue to become disconnected with where their meals actually come from. Our plan of action over the next few years is very simple. The Redevelopment Authority will hold this property for a period of time to fully explore the various challenges that the market is currently facing. Towards that aim, we have retained the services of a local engineering firm, Bucard Horn, to perform a capital needs assessment, and you see some of their initial work here, that exploratory finding with the charrettes on either side of us. And that's basically to inform us of the rough cost to update the property and bring it into code compliance. It goes without saying that this building, although it's been in service for 150 years, probably has not seen any significant investment within that period of the last 50, at least a generation or two. Secondarily, we've encouraged and solicited the help from the Philadelphia-based The Food Trust to give us some keen direction on how to better operate a food-based venture in the current local market. This is the same group that did an exhaustive study for Central Market years ago, and we are looking forward to their findings once their report is finalized, as well as your participation in that process, so we can get all of the community output and feedback to make sure it's a cohesive document that we can all benefit from. And lastly, we are further seeking the expertise of Central Market itself. Believe it or not, the competing market is not a competing market as many as you believe. In the spirit of coopetition, which is a hybrid of competition and cooperation, in the spirit of coopetition, we're asking them to help us with the day-to-day operations to serve as the RDA's contractual market master, so we can continually operate Penn Market without any interruption of service to vendors who ply trade or customers who purchase goods. With that information, we hope to have a better understanding of the issues that the market faces and be better able to develop a detailed plan of action to make capital improvements to the building, address the issues of food deserts that plagues many urban communities, and more importantly, how our team will exit this project. It is our intention to turn this asset back over to the community. At this point in time, we haven't defined what that may look like, but it is our goal that this community asset in the royal sense of the word, that we want to see it operated well into the future for another 150 years. That's why we are here today, and why we are humbly accepting the task of taking the lead role and bringing the municipality's resources to bear in getting this job done. And with that said, I would like to introduce to you the Chairman of the Redevelopment Authority, Mr. Michael Black, for a few words.
Thank you, Shabosky, and thanks to everyone for coming out today. On behalf of the RDA board, I'd just like to say we're very excited about the opportunity to work on this project to help restore this historic community asset to be a cornerstone of the WECO and surrounding neighborhoods and the city as a whole. This was my market as well as a child, and one of our goals is to return this place to what I remember it being when I came here as a child with my grandparents, which was a vibrant place and a shopping destination, and we look forward to working with the community to make that happen. Thank you.
So at this time, if you have any specific questions of myself and or members of our team about the plan of action going forward, I'm more than happy to take any of those. Mr. Weinstock, how did I know that you would not have a question today? The interesting thing, I think that question kind of answers itself, but I will entertain it. Each market in and of itself has its own unique identity. Central Market on its own right, in its own accord, has its own defined presence, its own makeup of vendors that constitute that space. And Penn Market in and of itself is unique in the sense that this is the only place where you can actually have a pluralistic representation of pretty much all the foodstuffs that exist in the United States. We have Muhammad, who actually has a halal butcher shop in one corner on the front presence. We have Ping Len, who has another presence on the opposite corner of a storefront. And we have a representation of every milieu of American fare you can find in between. So I think in terms of its identities, they both can coexist without necessarily having to define or carve out a unique presence. The makeup of the markets themselves and having those opportunities to either choose which venue you opt to purchase your products from is probably to the benefit of everyone. But I mean, I'm biased. I personally shop at this one. Mr. Addy. We anticipate roughly 1 year for the initial course of surveys that are going underway. As I pointed out, 2 are actually currently pending right now. The work that's been done by Bucard Horn is pretty much at its finish stage. We do have a few more hours left that we want to exhaust on that contract to really refine it and dial it in. But the longest lead time on any of that is really the food trust. We've given them a year of time to really explore three scenarios. One is the operations of market itself, how we can more effectively run this as a viable entity so it can sustain itself into the future. Secondarily, it's really exploring how the landscape of the local food market is really going to benefit everyone and address that issue of the food desert, and really holistically look at food access, generally speaking, for the community writ large, so that folks in the community can have better food options themselves in terms of healthier products to purchase. With that, if there's nothing else, thank you all for coming out today. I really appreciate the turnout, and really we appreciate your support going forward and participation in our efforts.